Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. In the last part, we started off the Sonic and Knuckles portion of the game and got all 7 Super Emeralds. And now we're in Flying Battery Zone, one of my favorite zones in the game, actually. And this place is mechanical, yes, but there's not much to it, honestly. There's a lot of fire bars that you can use the fire shield to avoid, but beyond that, the most annoying thing is actually the enemies. Because a lot of them kind of blindside you. Also, fun little fact, there is a hidden extra life right there. I didn't know that until about 2 months ago. Obviously, there's actually quite a few bottomless pits in this stage too, because you know, flying ship. That makes sense. Honestly, though, it is technically the second zone in Sonic and Knuckles, so it is going to be on the easy side, which is a bit of an odd difficulty curve. That the game starts off easy, gets harder, then it gets easier again. But mind you, that's a consequence of having to release the game in 2 halves, I suppose. Though I will say as a whole, the Sonic and Knuckles portion is harder than the Sonic 3 portion. But then again, that's also subjective because I've always had trouble with one particular stage that I know a lot of people don't have real much trouble with. Either way, gather more than 50 rings and press the jump button in midair, we transform into Hypersonic, also known as Super Saiyan 3, more or less. Hypersonic is ridiculous. First off, I think he's faster than Supersonic. He's more invincible because he can't even drown. He can still be crushed, though. I think he's faster, and as you can see, he has a little boost jump you can do by pressing the jump button and get in midair, and you can do it in any direction you want by holding the D-pad. I love Hypersonic. He breaks the game so much. Though he is really Caesar-tastic. They never brought this kind of concept back, sadly, which I really would have liked to see more of Hypersonic kind of things, because beyond this, the closest we get is different Supersonic transformations like Dark Spine or Excalibur Sonic, which is probably still my favorite design overall, Excalibur Sonic. I don't know why, it just is. And now we got these little magnets. The magnets work as you might expect. They attract any enemies towards them, however they also attract certain platforms towards them. However, don't stand underneath those platforms when they fall back down, because they will hurt you. And by hurt, I mean kill. This section's kind of annoying. You do have to wait for the missiles to destroy the path, which is kind of annoying when you have a timer going down to Supersonic. Oh god, Hypersonic. Whoa, I was upside down for a second there. Hypersonic with the electric shield, I've won the game. And that's more or less Act 1 in a nutshell. There's not really much else to this place. One thing I really wish they did do, I know I mentioned this before, is that I wish they gave you an option to turn off the Supersonic Invincibility theme, because I like the other songs a lot more. Oh, hey, Roboticizer. That's not a Roboticizer. Miniboss at this stage is a fake Roboticizer, and it's really easy. You should never die to this thing. Just stand on its little plunger, and spin dash to the left or right. You should never die to this thing. And that's about it. I do have to admit, though, I like the concept of this boss. Because I can just imagine Robotnik going, what if I absolutely screwed with that blue hedgehog? And then he went with it. But yeah, that's Act 1. Nothing really special about it. Love the theme for Act 2, though. And Act 2 is actually a lot more platform heavy. And by platform heavy, I mean there's a lot more speed going on, yes, but at the same time, there's a lot more slower sections. Ow. I hate that. I hate those mouse things. Also, you may have noticed I'm not getting any special rings, because first off, for some reason, I tended to avoid every single one in this stage. Secondly, I don't need them anymore. There's gonna be a lot of these platforms in this stage, but you're really on as a propeller from the top of the ship. But we're just on the thing that's in the interior. But these platform sections can be really slow, and if you're not careful, you can easily get crushed, so watch out. Though, one thing I have to wonder. This is clearly one of Eggman's ships. Why is it designed like this? Why is there a platforming level inside of your ship? I mean, from a gameplay perspective, it makes sense, yeah, but why? Mind you, can say that for a lot of stuff, but still, why? Oh, also, I should probably mention, yeah, you probably heard me say both Eggman and Robotnik. That's because I honestly switch between the two in the classic games. In the 3D games, it's always Eggman, but I'll switch between the two in the 2D games quite a bit. Well, that was weird. Yeah, Yeah, for some reason you need to be either... I'm not sure if that's because you have to be pixel perfect, or it's because you have to be going a certain velocity in order to get through that floor. That's weird. Like I mentioned before, though... Oh, it's stupid magnets. One thing I recommend you do is that when you're playing the game yourself, look up level maps, because first off, that's the easiest way to find out where the special rings are. Secondly, just marvel at how big these levels are. They are... honestly, shockingly large. Ow, stupid. I forget where in this stage exactly, but there is actually one special ring in particular I really like. I actually thought it was right here for a second, that's why I stopped. But what you have to do is you have to push some spikes. I think the way you can tell that they're not normal spikes is because they don't move like these ones do. But when you push them, they'll actually, first of all, they'll be pushed. And you can fall beneath where they originally were, and you'll find a special ring. I like that kind of design. And now it's time for Sonic to be Superman. I did not like Man of Steel, I'll be honest. Felt very boring to me. Though the action scene in Smallville, I think, it was Smallville, right? Yeah, it could have, it should have been, if I recall correctly. Where they had all those bad product placements, that was funny. And that was actually a pretty good scene overall, though, because action scenes are the best reason to watch those movies. Oh, hey! The only special ring in the stage I could have gotten is actually there on the left. In fact, I actually tried to get to it so I can get 50 rings. But I sadly failed that, if I recall correctly. Oh, so close. But there's one over there if you need it. And now we're at the boss. Oh, hey, we're back in Wing Fortress Zone. That's right, for some reason, Eggman brought back the laser from Wing Fortress in Sonic 2. Though this time, he did something right about it. We can't damage it. So, we just have to sit here for a bit and hope we can't get hit. Though you may notice, the arena is constantly shrinking, so let's just hope something happens. Though if I recall correctly, there's a glitch that can possibly happen where Tails, if you have him as a second player, can actually glitch behind the wall, but he can't do anything to Eggman. Oh boy, this is getting close. Ah! You didn't think about firing a laser at your own floor this time, did ya? And now for the trek towards the boss of this stage, the real one. Which, if you actually get fast enough and don't do this, you can actually beat the sky to the top of the stage, and you'll see the sky itself actually scrolling up over a black background. Technical limitations. That's actually part of the reason I really was hoping I'd get up to 50 rings before this, so I could show that off. But oh well. And now we wait. Yeah, for some reason you really have to wait for the platform. I'm surprised they didn't add like a secondary platform that you can just jump on from here just to get up here. But at the same time, it makes some amount of sense because this platform we're on is actually the boss platform. Alright, what you got this time, Eggman? Oh. Well, that's simple. This is actually a very easy boss. He slowly sidles left and right, and whenever you're in the center of the two little claws, he shoots fire up. After about 2 or 3 fires, usually, he swings up and down a lot. And this is when you hit him, and I don't even know why he's doing this, because this is how we damage him. But it's a very easy boss. Eventually, he'll stop swinging around, so you have to repeat by jumping in the middle of it a certain amount of times, or maybe it's time-based, I'm not sure. Although, if you just do this, you're more or less fine. And he is out of here. Although, if I recall correctly, Tails, as a second player, can actually damage the claws. I know I've seen that at one point, though. I'm not entirely sure about that. I've seen that for a fact. I know I have. Either way, that's Flying Battery. A very interesting level. I actually really like it, though it's kind of bland at the same time. And let's see, where are we off to next? Once we get through this door. Welcome to Sandopolis, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone's least favorite zone in the game. Well, technically it's Act 2 everyone hates. Act 1 isn't that bad, though it is fairly long. But Act 2, when we get to it, oh boy. But either way, still, this is... As a whole, Act 1 is still actually a very long stage. In fact, I'll say for a fact, Sandopolis is the most boring part of the game. Once you know, it's the third to last area. Though, I love the song. But as you can tell, most of the gimmicks are the fact that these platforms you can push onto more or less conveyor belts, and sand that if you get too far in, you will die. So, that's not fun, or safe. A lot of the stuff in this zone is you just waiting, and there's a lot of stuff that can blindside you too, which, you know, not cool. Like that. I hate I almost call it Scorponok. I hate the Scorpion Badniks. First off, they have a surprising amount of range, and they almost always seem to blindside me. And that's not nice. There's also these sand conveyor belts you can fall down, which a lot of times can either lead to items, or they loop. Especially in Act 2, they'll loop around a lot. There's also a lot of sand falls you have to jump up, which, you know, the sand falls are annoying. I know why they're there from a level design standpoint. It's so you can progress in certain areas, yes. But at the same time, there are a lot of times where you just flat out ignore them because you think they're either a foreground or background object and forget that they're actually, you know, interactable. And I'm not a fan of that. Much, if at all. I actually do have frequent memories of when I first played Sonic and Knuckles, because when I first played Sonic and Knuckles, we didn't actually own Sonic and Knuckles as a kid. When I was a kid, we only had Sonic 3 standalone. Sonic and Knuckles I didn't get to play until I got the which collection was it? Mega Collection on my GameCube, I think it was. And this was where I frequently game overed. Because these levels are not only still some of the longest, but they're just not very fun to me. In fact, when did I first find out about Sonic 3 and Knuckles as a whole? Because I played Sonic and Knuckles when I was very young, yes, and Sonic 3 especially when I was young. But I didn't think I found out about the lock-on until maybe 2002? No, not 2002. Sometime, about a year after Mega Collection's release. So, I've been playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles for a long time ever since, which means I'm a lot more used to the early parts of the game all the same. Oh, by the way, good news to seeing the special stage, because for some reason, for the rest of this game, this is the one that shows up the most. I don't know why. But mind you, not that I mind, because I absolutely love this soundtrack here. You know what's the main reason I probably don't like the special stage, though? I'm not good at pinball. Because, first off, Sonic Spinball is a nightmare to me, and secondly, I'm just not good at it as a concept, and there goes my chances of beating it. Yay! Though, admittedly, something about Sandopolis' look has always kind of bothered me. I'm not exactly sure what, though. It's not the sand. The sand looks fine. It might have to do with, like, the buildings and something else in it. I'm not sure. But all I know is that that's something about the look has bothered me ever since I played the game back when I first did. So, the more you know. One thing I will say about Sandopolis, especially Act 1 that I like, is that there are plenty of routes for you to take. They are everywhere. Also, how do you get those? I've never known how to get those. And these are strange little springs you don't launch until you're in the middle. Alright, let's go! What? Once you know what, I got out of there, by the way. Just in time to get a time over. Great. Yeah, that happened. Admittedly, that's not the first time something like that's happened to me. It happened to me one time in the next zone, and once before in, not Ice Cap, Launch Base, too. So, something's up with the collision detection with this game. I think if you go over a certain speed, you go beyond where the collision starts, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But it's always strange and honestly kind of fascinating when it happens. I'm kind of glad I got that on camera. So, yeah. Who knew? Games are flawed. I'm just thankful that I was fairly close to a checkpoint, all things considered, because if I had to redo like a good 2 minutes of gameplay, that would have sucked. Also, it's worth noting, the checkpoints not only save your position, they also save your time. Unless you get a time over. Because you might notice now it's lower than it was when I got the checkpoint before it. Also, you might be looking at that timestamp and saying, hey, we still have 8 minutes. And we're halfway done, right? Yeah, but we're still in the zone for the next 8 minutes. Act 2 is hell. And that's a pyramid rising. Alright, bring on the Billy Zane and the Mummy. Miniboss for this stage is this golem thing. I don't even know if the thing has a name. And this thing is completely invincible. You can knock it down, but it'll regenerate. So, we have to put it in a place where it can't regenerate, or at least get back up. We need to put it into the sand. This fight is really easy. I don't think I've ever actually even died to him. And as long as you know what to do, you should never have any real trouble. Come on. I'm right here. Easy target. Come on. Ha! Screw you. Yep. See you later. And that's the end of Act 1. Act 1 is fairly harmless, all things considered, strange glitches aside. But I'm not a fan of it either way. Act 2, however, is where things get bad. So let's see what it has for us. To start off, Act 2 is dark, which we can immediately fix with the switch I just passed by, but like that. And there's also a lot of switches around here that you need to push in order to have doors open. That's only half the gimmick. The later half comes in about now. We just freed ghosts. The ghosts do nothing as long as it's light. However, the darker it gets, the more there are and the angrier their eyes get. To the point when it's fully dark, they even have horns. And when it gets too dark, they start attacking you en masse, and it is annoying. The big thing about this stage, though, that makes it hell, aside from the switches, aside from the ghosts, is its length. We are here for the next 5 minutes. And I do not like that. Sonic stages can be long, and there's nothing wrong with that, but 5 minutes of pretty much nothing but fairly slow is a bit eh. I know I stated earlier that I like slower stages, but usually even the slower stages have some moments of speed. Which admittedly this does too, but they're far and few between. Plus, this stage just feels like it's trying to last as long as it can. Which is not a good way to make levels, to make games longer, is to have the stages be long like that. Either add more stages in general, or just stick with the game being shorter. Don't add padding, which this stage feels like. Though I have to admit, the background I actually really like. Reminds me a lot of another Genesis game by the name of Quackshot, if any of you have played that, because there's a pyramid level in that, and I'm always reminded of that whenever I play the stage. And really, besides what I mentioned, that the stage is pretty basic in layout. It's very mazy and large. Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the largest level in the game, but it's not. Its gimmicks are fairly simple. It's just the fact that there's so much of them and in such an enclosed space. Plus, it doesn't help that I'm not the biggest fan of this music track. I get what they were going for with the whole interior place, but yeah. Either way, I really shouldn't have died there. Also, Sonic was stuck at the bottom of the screen. Why? What we're coming up on is one of the more annoying sections as normal Sonic, or Knuckles even, when you play this stage as him eventually. What is going on here is that after you get past this first switch, we have to break this little cork, which causes sand to fall. If the sand rises you into the ceiling, you get crushed. It's not that bad, but I always like having a Hyper Sonic here because that boost dash makes it go by so much more quickly. That and the fact I have crushophobia, so yeah. Though admittedly, crushophobia isn't the worst thing I have. Spike phobia is still my major one. Makes Mortal Kombat very fun. The ghosts, I kind of wish were a bit more annoying, because then I'd at least have a bit more stuff to do in terms of being engaged in the stage, but honestly, this stage is just boring. And at that, I'm pretty much out of things to talk about until the boss fight. So, let's see, what have I been doing recently? Finished my freshman year of college, which is a thing. I pretty much have all A's and B's as I expected I would, so nothing too bad there. Games-wise, I've actually been playing a lot of stuff recently. I got Transformers Devastation finally. That was pretty fun. A bit short, yeah, but I know why it's short, because Platinum Games is more about content being fun rather than long, which, no, more respect for that. Mortal Kombat 10 I finally got, and I'm enjoying that quite a bit. Part of me still likes 9 a bit more, but 10 is fantastic, though. I got the normal edition, so I have to eventually buy all those DLC characters, which is gonna suck. And Uncharted 4, I love it. I beat it the day after it came out, and oh my god, I haven't clapped that hard at a video game credit sequence since around 2007. And know what sucks? I almost 100%ed it in my first playthrough. I only missed 1 treasure, about 4 conversations, 2 or 3 notes and journal entries, which is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to go back into those chapters and get those at some point, which is not gonna be fun because while I loved the game, I'm tired out of it for now. Also, part of me kind of wishes that Hypersonic would light up the room automatically, because he's bright enough, you'd think he would. Which is something Sonic 4 does do, actually, in its dark stage. Supersonic lights it up. However, thankfully, that big thing of coins I just got from being in the air a moment ago, I always know I'm near the end of the stage when I get that, because we're at the end of the stage, more or less, right now. Though there is one special ring you can get here at the very end of the stage, which I remember when I first played Sonic & Knuckles was actually the last one I got for my last Chaos Emerald. And it's right over here. Be careful, by the way, because the doors can crush you. And the boss of the stage is more or less an egg golem straight out of Sonic Adventure 2, or Sonic Adventure 2 with a later tribute. The way you hit it is you do this. He attacks with his fists and such, but if you're good enough like me, you can kill him before the music even starts. Oh, poor Eggman. And that's the end of Sandopolis. I somehow got through it without having absolutely nothing to talk about. Sweet. But yeah, Sandopolis Act 2 can burn in hell. I do not like this place at all. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, we're heading on to more zones. See you guys then.